Hey there. Today is July 7th, 2024. It's currently about 9:30 p.m. and it took me a while to work my way up into doing this vlog. Um, it's been thunderstormy these past few days, and I think that's a very apt description of sort of the way I've felt for a very long time. I can't recall when it first began, but I do know that the feeling of everything describing a thunderstorm, you know, dark, stormy, wet, low key, miserable, has persisted for a very long time. I've done some of my own research into that kind of diagnosis, and I think it's called dysthymia or dysthymia. And the DSM-5 says that it's a low grade feeling of depression. And I think that's very accurate of the way I've felt for basically for as long as I remember. Today's vlog isn't anything in particular. Um, and I hate to admit that, at least for now, the nature of these vlogs is not sunshine and rainbows. But that's okay, because these videos are for me. And to show myself that despite everything that I may be feeling or thinking, that I can still continue to live and move on. And that being said, I've been thinking a lot. Would you believe that? Um, in fact, I think I've always been thinking a lot. I think that's probably the one of the primary causes of dysthymia, or whatever. Overthinking. But I've been contemplating about everything that's happened. I know it's very broad, but especially mistakes. Things that have happened in the past that currently I say to myself, wow, what a what a blunder. I'm not proud to admit it. So much negative emotions, so much pain, hurt, and anger. And I wondered to myself, what was the point of it all? But I know that's a foolish question. So then I also asked myself, what have I learned from them? And I endeavored to utilize them, that experience, that knowledge of all the mistakes that I've done. Never mind what circumstances I couldn't have controlled, but specifically things that I know I did wrong. How can I transmute those mistakes into wisdom and endeavor not to do them again? And I think a key step in that path is going through those mistakes as vividly as I can and as brutally honest as I can be with myself, to admit them, and then accept what has happened. There's too many to talk through in one video, but I like to briefly go through something that's been on my mind for the past few months, and it's related to sort of at a loss of word because it's relatively fresh, but still quite painful to recall. But I think it's important to admit to myself or to talk about these things, if only to myself. And I want to talk about disappointment, heartbreak, a little bit of regret, not in that particular order, or not even conclusively about that chain of experiences. I won't go too much into background, but I've been dealing with those kind of feelings. I think for every single day in the past few months, thinking about ways I have messed up, feeling no small amount of guilt, but also anger at myself. And some of them aren't even logical, but they're so ingrained in that emotional part of the human soul that it's difficult to rationalize and overcome. I'm not sure it's even meant to be overcome. And I apologize for being so vague, but I don't want to go too much into detail about the events that happened. But do know, Andy, if you're watching this in the future, that you've been brave. And I think you should be proud of yourself for holding it in for as much as you could. And know that mistakes don't define who you are unless you choose to ignore them. And if you let yourself dwell on pity, and I know it's can be so easy to do so, and it feels almost in a masochistic way good to wallow in pity, but that's no way to live and move forward. So I just want you to know, Andy, that all the pain and upset state of mind that you've been through, are going through, that it's going to make you a better person. That you have to hold out for when the sun shines again. And you have to believe that you're moving in the right direction and that those events that have happened in the past, the mistakes I've made, that they're not a signpost for what's going to happen in the future. They're lessons to be learned, certainly. And that's where the pain comes from, because the lessons must be learned. Otherwise, those experiences, all those pain would have been for nothing. And you have to learn those lessons. And when you have learned them, perhaps the pain can subside. But until then, just hang in there. You're doing okay. Could always do better, but that's neither here or there. I just want you to know, Andy, that actually, I don't know, but I just hope things will look better. But in the meantime, I promise to put in my full effort.